gang. So I'm starting this video a little bit differently because I wanted to show you an old layout that I was looking through from 2008. And I really like the design of this. And so I figured I should probably try to copy it because it's got, let's see, 5 photos here and 5 photos here. So it would be getting 10 photos down on a page. And of course, I have lots and lots of photos from my Colorado trip in August 2023. So I need lots and lots of help on creating a 2-page layout that's going to get all those photos printed. So this is maybe like 3.5 by 5. I don't think it's quite that measurement. And these are like 3 across and then a little bit higher than 3. So they're not perfect squares. They're a little more rectangle-y. I don't remember how I measured or how I cut any of this, but you can see that it's a pretty easy layout, not a lot of embellishment. We'll see how I can kind of figure it out and what I can add using my aesthetic today. So this is the old layout. Let's get into the new one.
Okay, so here we are in the voiceover portion of the process video, the actual process. This is sped up a little bit, so it probably took me about half an hour to finish this 2-page layout. But first, obviously, probably the most time-consuming was just cutting all of the pieces, cutting the photos down to the right size and cutting the papers down to the right size, because what I'm using here are smaller photos than what I had printed, and then just smaller pieces of paper. So there's not a whole lot on the pages, but prepping everything did take a little bit of time. So obviously all my photos were printed 4 by 6. I did a vertical 3.5 by 5 on both sides, and then the other pictures I cut down to 3 by 4 and made those into a grid. I didn't realize how much math scrapbooking requires sometimes. So it was helpful for me to have a ruler handy. So if this is something that you want to try your hand at, I would definitely recommend having a ruler on your desk while you work on this one. So the 2 background pages are both purple. They're just stuff I had in my stash, very old, from an old Recollections paper pad that I got at Michael's, and I had 2 of the same color, so I thought they would be perfect to use for a 2-page layout. And the photos that I'm using, this is just the first side, the photos are from the United States Olympic and Paralympic Training Center. It's in Colorado Springs, Colorado. You can, take a tour of it. It costs money to get in, but it's where the athletes train and live while they're training, and that gives them the space and the tools and the time to really dedicate themselves to whatever the sport is, whether it's swimming or there was also wrestling we saw, shooting, that just gives them that time and space to practice a lot and hopefully win enough competitions that they get a bid to the Olympics. So that was pretty cool to see. And you'll notice I'm going to add in some like gold elements to this page because, of course, we're talking about the Olympics and there are gold medals handed out at the Olympics. So I thought that would work very well. So I'm trying to I think I got all my stuff laid out, and you can see I've been doing some measuring just to kind of make sure that everything is where it needs to go. But I wanted to get the photos lined up with that paper strip. So I think that was I don't know if it was a branding strip. It looks a little bit thicker than a branding strip. So it must have just been a leftover sheet of like a leftover strip of paper. I want to say it's pink paisley. I want to say it's an old sheet of that. And so I just cut it to 6 inches, and then I'm going to make my grid of the 4 photos 6 inches across, which is pretty easy to do because each one of those is 3 inches. So the strip is going just the width of that photo grid. And then I'm putting the other photo, the bigger vertical photo, kind of, it's not lining up with the other photos. It's kind of going up above them, and I'm going to add another paper strip. This one has a white stars over a blue background, and I liked the stars and the blue because there's a little bit of blue in that stripe that I already used. But this is, it's the United States Olympic Training Center, and stars reminded me of America. And so that's why that one is there. And now that I have those two strips lined up, I can put that photo down, and then I need to add something underneath that photo. So I basically been just going into my big bag of scraps and finding stuff that's sort of similar colors or similar patterns. And so I've got that piece of, I think that's Simple Stories. It's just sort of a pastel rainbow, and it's got, I think it's got some purple in it. So that goes along with the purple in the other patterns in the background. And I'm just going to stick that right down on the bottom. And I cut it to be the same width as the photo. The length, I have no idea what the length is, and it didn't really matter to me because I wasn't going to measure the length. It's the only thing that's going underneath the photo. I'm adding in a little journaling spot, and the title is called Going Places because we went places on this vacation, and then hopefully these athletes who are there will also go places, maybe to the Olympics, right? So I'm not adding any other embellishments quite yet. I want to move on to the next side. Just make sure I get everything laid down, and then off camera, I will pick and choose some other embellishments from my stash and see what I can find. I don't really have anything sports related, but you'll see I do manage to find a couple other items that I think would work or worked really well with the rest of this. So the original layout, I don't have it out anymore, but I looked at it, it was on the floor while I was doing this. And what I decided to do with this one is kind of do sort of a mirror type of thing. It's not going to be exact, but I'm going to make the grid be higher up on this side, and then the larger vertical photo is going to be sort of down below. And I'm going to change things up with those paper strips in terms of placement and length and width, I guess. On the original one that I did, the second page actually had a horizontal photo, and then a grid was below it. And I could have done that. I had a horizontal photo that I could have used, but I was in this mind frame of vertical, 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 and making everything be kind of like similar. And so that's how I'm interpreting, my original layout. And again, I don't remember. It was probably a sketch somewhere. Maybe it was something that I saw on scrapbook.com back in 2008. I was heavy on the scrapbook.com gallery and message boards. And so it could have been something that I saw and, scraplifted somebody else, or a sketch. I really have no idea. That was so long ago. But, I'm doing it again, scraplifting what I did and making it a little bit different. So here's where the ruler again really comes in handy, because I was trying to get everything lined up properly, trying to get the photos straight. I don't know why it's so difficult sometimes. And then of course, there's a lot of space on the side there. And when I looked back on the first page, I said, oh, there's only like an inch of space on the side. I don't need my photos to be this far over. So luckily that double-sided tape that I've been using from the Scotch brand is pretty easy to pull up. I think if I would have left it a little bit longer, it would not have been as easy to pull up. But that's good to know if that's what you're using and you also are messing around trying to find the correct placement of things. It's one thing when you're trying to just get everything lined up in a grid, and then it's another thing that you've got to try to line everything up spacing wise on the sides of the pages. You want everything to be like just so in the center. And I think I have it finally figured out. So the grid is down. I'm trying to figure out where to put the photo. It's going to look a little bit different than the first page, like I said, because the grid and the larger photo are in different places, but also, like I said before, the paper strips that I'm using, those are going to be a little bit different as well. So I'm taking the plaid piece and I'm putting it underneath the grid of photos. And so that's, again, 6 inches across, very easy to do. And then I'm going to have the two other pieces of paper go up on top of my vertical photo. So those are going to be smaller widths and bigger lengths than on the previous page. And that's okay. So I just cut them both down, and then I am going to figure out placement and more specific measurements as I go. That paper, I want to say it was like American Crafts that I got at Joann a while ago, and it's so thin. the paper cutter that I'm using, like, just did not enjoy it. It left a lot of like frayed edges. So I was just using my very sharp small scissors to kind of cut those frays off. I don't know why. I do prefer like a nice thick cardstock, not the flimsy like computer paper thickness that sometimes you find. Now, you won't usually find it if you're ordering like American craft stuff straight from scrapbook.com or even an online retailer like Paper Issues. I mean, I don't know if any of you have a local scrapbook store still, but if you do, let me know down in the comments, because I think it would be fun to support more local scrapbook businesses, especially if they also have an online business. I know Paper Issues is technically local, but it's online only. Scrapbook Generation was also a local business in Missouri. They have closed their brick and mortar store, and they're also online only now. And there's another store in Long Island, and I can't think of what it's called. If it comes to me before the end of this video, I will let you know. But they sell in person, and I think they also sell online. So those are just a couple places for you guys to look. Obviously, I know not everyone is in Missouri or New York, but if you know of other local scrapbook stores that we can purchase from online so that everybody around the country can support local scrapbook stores, that would be really great. So leave those below in the comments. It's time for the embellishment. So I grabbed a whistle because I thought that was like, you know, coaches have whistles, right? And some Simple Stories enamel dots that are glittery and gold. Again, there's like the gold medal thing going on. And then just some other like random pieces, some hearts, some American Crafts heart, puffy heart stickers. And that one right there is from Chamel. It says, make your dreams real, I think. It's kind of a holographic, that's not the word I'm looking for. Lenticular. It's a lenticular design. So it moves as the page moves or as your eye moves around the page. And it's a little bit thicker, so I'm just going to use some glue dots to stick that down. I've got another sort of golden element with that celebrate word. That's a puffy sticker from American Crafts. There's some chipboard pieces from American Crafts that I'm using as well. And I picked some of those because they had some red in it. And just, again, like the red, white, and blue reminded me of America. And this is the United States Training Center. So that's why I was kind of going with that, even though they don't necessarily fit the color scheme of everything else that I've used on this page. But that's kind of the fun of using scraps and just random bits from your stash. You can kind of just make anything go together. And if anybody who's looking through your scrapbook album questions you on that, I think then that just means that they don't get to look at your scrapbook albums anymore, or maybe don't get invited over to your house anymore. So that's just my opinion. I'm going to do another little embellishment cluster up at the top there. I think I did like 3 on both sides, 3 on both pages. This one definitely has 3. I think the other page also had 3. So again, groups of 3s, working in triangles. You know my whole spiel about, you know, scrapbooking design rules. I think those are pretty easy to use. So 3 embellishment clusters form a triangle. Each cluster has 3 pieces in it. You're going to see the close-ups in the photos that are following right now. I hope that you enjoyed watching this video and that it inspires you to make a 2-page layout today or some other day when you have time to sit down and scrapbook. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on other process videos. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!